I've found since I started like weightlifting, I don't get sick as much. I don't know if there's like a correlation or I'm just like eating healthier. So
It's definitely the combination of eating healthy and I mean, I feel like working out does boost your immune system.
yeah, yeah. I think like there's something I'm gonna get philosophical, but it's like magical about sweating like every day. I
Magical.
just like I had an ex who was like, "You don't do any skincare routine," and I was like, "Yeah, but I'm not wearing makeup and I'm sweating all the time. Like my skin's good." So
Yeah.
yeah,
I feel like a lot of that stuff is like it's not real. Like a lot of people that spend all that money on like expensive skincare, like if you wash your face and like eat healthy, you don't need to spend hundreds of dollars on lotions and serums and who knows what's in that stuff anyways.
yeah, yeah. And like the only thing that I got from this skincare company was like under eye treatment.
Okay.
And like that's only because like my under eyes were looking bad, and people were like, "You just need to drink more water and sleep more." And I was like, "I sleep 8 hours and I drink a gallon a day. That's not doing it." So yeah. So let's get into it.
Okay.
I wanted to find out about like, tell me about your early life,
Like growing up?
like growing up, like as a kid. Like, so I'll take a step back. We found each other. We became friends on TikTok. You were like
Yep.
posting these like awesome videos of you in the gym, like lifting far heavier than I could ever lift. And you're such like the thing that first struck me about you was you're such a like open and vulnerable person about like you're not just sharing the like competition photos and sharing like the positives of gym life, you're also sharing like the negative. And so that's what really
Right.
drew me to you. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you. Yeah, so I actually don't have an athletic background at all. Um, my dad was in the army. He was in the army for 22 years. And I mean, he was very athletic, very physically fit. He would run for miles. He played softball. He did judo. But as a kid, I wasn't interested in any of that. I just kind of like I didn't really do anything as a kid. I mean, I was just very quiet, very reserved. And then I would say around like 14 is when I was like, all right, I'm going to join the military too. I saw my dad do it. I was like, this is what we do. This is how our family operates. So around that time frame, I started telling my parents, hey, I'm going to join the military. And I wanted to join the army, but my dad was like, no. So I was like, okay, I'll join the Air Force then. And, my mom was supportive of it. No one in my family tried to, steer me away from it. So at 17, I was just unhappy with where I was at in life. Like, I didn't like where we were living. I didn't like where I grew up. My dad retired in Jersey, and right outside of the base is this really small town called Browns Mills. And small towns are just not it for me. So I was just unhappy. And at 17, I found a recruiter. I had already taken the ASVAB, which is what you have to take in order to join the service.
Hmm.
And I found a recruiter and I told my mom, I'm like, hey, I have all the paperwork. I'm ready to go right now. So I had to talk my dad into it a little bit because he's like, oh, you're only 17. Like, you don't really know if this is what you want right now. But I was like, no, this is what I want. I wanted to get away. I wanted to travel. I wanted to live my life. So they signed this enlistment paperwork, but I still had another year of high school. So I was already like in what they call the delayed entry program, which is where you sign an enlistment and you're under a certain set of rules. So you can't get tattoos, you can't do drugs, you can't get in any trouble, and you have to keep your grades up. That way, as soon as you graduate, you're ready to go to basic. So I graduated June 2011, and in August 2011, I was at boot camp.
Just happened that quickly.
It happened that quickly. I was out of high school for a month and a couple weeks, and then I was
Okay.
in the military.
Nice, nice. So
Yeah.
I gotta ask because you said no tattoos. Like, and I see you on TikTok and especially right now, like showing off all
Yep.
the ink. Like, was it the second you could get a tattoo? Did you just like rush out and like dealer's choice, go?
So I was in my technical training for the Air Force, which is like our job specific training. And I had come home on like our holiday leave
Mhm.
and I got my first tattoo. I was 18. No, yeah, I was 18. Um, and it's like a little quote on my stomach. That was my first one. But prior to that, I couldn't have any. One, because I wasn't 18 and there was no way my parents were going to let me have tattoos. And two, because I was under the delayed entry program, they don't
Mm.
want you getting any new tattoos. So I was like itching for ink so bad, but I had to wait. And then one little tattoo led to another little tattoo and then led to a half sleeve. And now here I am. And I think I have like 25
Wow. Okay.
and I'm
So
not done yet.
you're like, I'm having another one next week and the week after that.
You
Well,
know,
good.
it's actually been almost a year since I got my last tattoo.
It does, it's dangerous to say, but it is kind of like an addiction getting a
Oh,
tattoo.
it is.
Yeah. Like that
It
first one
is.
is always so hard because everybody's like, I don't know what I'm gonna get or where I'm gonna get it or who's gonna do it for me and blah blah blah. And then that second one is so much easier because you're just like, I know exactly where I want it now.
Well, so my parents had tattoos. And so I used to go to the tattoo shop with them. And growing up, I was like, all right, I want to have tattoos. But my parents were like, don't get tattoos ever. And then now here I am, and I have sleeves and my hand tattooed, and I have a matching tattoo with my mom. Like, they're over it now.
Yeah, yeah. It's my parents were, my mom especially was very adamant growing up. No tattoos while you live under my roof. And then like I was scared to show her my first one and it was like I let it slip on an Instagram photo and she like saw it and she's like, hey, so I saw on Instagram you got a tattoo. And I'm like, yeah, sorry. But
Sorry, not sorry.
yeah, I was like, well, I didn't want to tell you because I knew you get mad. And she's like, well, I'm not mad because you don't live here anymore. And it's just like weird rules.
Yeah.
So let's go back to military. So you were
Yeah.
in the military for how long?
10 years and 7 days.
10. Oh, okay. And that 7 days, that really that puts the button on it.
10 years, 7 days, 42 minutes. Honestly, it felt like forever. I felt like, I mean, I realistically, I did grow up in the military. I mean, even as a child, my dad was active duty, like I said. So, like, the military life is all I have ever known. Me leaving active duty in August, like this last August, is the first time I've ever truly been a civilian. And, you know, I feel like I'm really out of my comfort zone, but that's what I wanted for myself. I could have easily done another 10 years and retired. Like everyone else thinks that we join the military to do 20 and retire, and that's it. But
Mhm.
for me, I didn't think I was going to retire. I joined the service because it's something I always wanted to do. But to be honest, I also joined because I didn't know who I was. I didn't know who I wanted to be. I didn't know what I was passionate about. I didn't play any sports. Like I was telling you, I wasn't athletic. I didn't play any instruments. I wasn't perfect in school. Like, I feel like I wasn't really good at anything.
Mhm.
And that sounds kind of cruel, but I don't mean that in a negative way. I just never really growing up could figure out what my thing was until the gym, realistically. And even my first few years in the service, I wasn't into fitness. I wasn't into lifting. I didn't play sports. And in the military, you have to pass a physical test. And your physical test is either every 6 months if you get below a 90% or once a year. But my first few years in the service, I was struggling. Like I couldn't, so you have to run a mile and a half. And that's honestly not a lot. But
Mhm.
I'm 4'11" and I have short little legs, and I am not a runner by any means. So the running portion was a struggle for me. And the reason why it was a struggle is because I wasn't doing anything to help myself. I wasn't eating healthy. I wasn't exercising frequently. I was just lazy. Like I would work 14 hours and then I'd be like, you know what? I'm ready to go home and go to sleep. But one thing I realized once I started, so I initially started doing CrossFit. And once I realized, like, this is something you have to make a lifestyle. You can't just expect, to be really good at something if you're not working at it.
Hmm.
So I was taking these physical tests every year and barely passing or failing. And if you fail a certain amount, you can actually get kicked out of the military. So I was struggling so bad that I was like, wow, like my career is in jeopardy right now. And so I started doing CrossFit first. And I loved it because it was like a community and this was like a family. Like we used to have all these events at the gym. They would celebrate birthdays, they would do like birthday themed workouts. And being in the military, that's like its own community. So then once I
Hmm.
got into CrossFit, I was like, wow, this is so similar. But with any organization, there's always some kind of toxicity. And the competitiveness in the different gyms and the drama and the cattiness, I was just like appalled that we're here trying to work on ourselves, but people are still like having these weird, like, am I allowed to cuss? Like, can I cuss on
Yeah,
this?
yeah, go for
Well, people are like having like dick measuring contests in the
it.
gym. And I'm like, I'm just here to work out. Like, I don't know what's happening here,
Uh,
but people were like, girls were being bitches. Like, guys were trying to sleep with girls from the gym and talking shit and like lying about being in relationships. And like the drama, just, I eventually couldn't deal with it anymore. And I just stopped going.
oh, okay. So like, did
Yeah.
you go off and do your own thing, or did fitness kind of go back onto the back burner?
So once I realized like how toxic this was, I kind of had to take a break. And then in 2019, I started dating a bodybuilder. And I never thought I could be a bodybuilder. I was like, there is no way. Like I used to watch like videos and stuff, and I would see like the competitors and how shredded they would get, and they lived in the gym. The gym was like their whole life.
Hmm.
And then once I started dating him, he kind of introduced me into a whole new realm of fitness, and I was kind of going through a tough time, and it helped me kind of get out of that. So I would say I think I took a break from the gym for probably about a year. I would occasionally do a workout here and there, but like not like how it was. And then once I started bodybuilding, it was like eat, breathe, sleep, gym. Like my
Uh-huh.
whole life revolved around it. And I actually only did bodybuilding for about 6 months before I did my first show.
Oh, wow. So let's
I
get
had
into
like
that.
a
So was this while you were still in the military or after you left?
No, so this was when I was still active duty. Um, I started bodybuilding in April of 2019, and then I had I had a assignment, so I moved to Montana. And in
Okay.
the middle of that move is when I started my prep for this competition. So I was moving and prepping for bodybuilding, and then I got to Montana, and that's when the grind time really like kicked off for the show. And mind you, it was a very very small local competition. It wasn't sanctioned, so it wasn't like IFBB or NPC or anything like that. Like I kind of wasn't sure if I was going to be good enough for those bigger shows, so I was happy to start there.
Hmm.
And I mean, the show actually went better than I imagined. I had a blast. There wasn't competition. I mean, I competed against one girl, so I won like the overall, but there was only two people, so it wasn't really, it wasn't really a competition. But for me, it was a competition against myself because I didn't think I was going to be able to do anything like that.
Mm.
And like once I did that, I kind of felt like, who knows where I could go with bodybuilding. And so I wanted to compete again in 2020, but then what happened? COVID.
Hmm. Yeah.
So I had a show and it got canceled, of course, but that allowed me to kind of build for an additional year. And then I competed April of 2021. I did two shows back to back. One was not sanctioned, and the other one was NPC in Denver.
Okay.
And I'll tell you what, I was nowhere near ready for that show, but I had a blast and I learned a lot.
So I'm assuming by saying that you didn't, did you place? Did you come in second?
I I think I came in last for each of my divisions, which was
Okay.
like second and third, but like when you only have two people in a division, it's technically last place. So like
Gotcha.
I
Okay.
got second in like class A, but there was only two people. And then I got third in like class B or whatever. I don't know if it was class B, but there were only three people. So out of three, I was third, so last. And the issue with that was I actually had to fire my coach when I was in the midst of my prep.
Mhm.
And when I was in Montana, my work section was extremely toxic. So I was just in a really bad environment, and that kind of affected my prep. And I've talked about this on Instagram about how when you're a bodybuilder and you're competing, you have to put your blinders on. Nothing else can matter. Not work, not boyfriends, not girlfriends, not family. You have to block all that out, and you have to be 100% in it. And it was my own fault that I didn't place well. It was no one's fault. It wasn't even my coach's fault that I had to fire because he was extremely unprofessional. I
Mm.
had to fire him, but it's not his fault. It was my own fault. I wasn't 110% in it. And that was my biggest takeaway is that the next time I compete, if I ever do again, it's got to be about competing and nothing else. But the thing with competing is it's so expensive.
Yeah. So what are
I
we
don't even want
talking
to know how
like?
much money I put into that, honestly.
What are we talking like ballpark figures? Like $1,000 to get a ticket to
More.
compete? More? Okay.
So for women, when you are a bodybuilder and you compete, you have to get a bikini.
Hmm.
So that is anywhere from $200 to $1,000. Then you need high heels, and they have to be a specific kind. You have to have your nails, your hair, your makeup done, and you can do that stuff yourself, but it's better not to. And then you
Hmm.
also have to pay for your spray tan package, and you have to pay entry fees. If you're doing NPC, you have to have an NPC card, which is about $135, I think. And then for each division, it's anywhere from $100 to $200 per division. So, say for me, I did figure. So, I did figure novice, figure open, and I think I did one other. So, that was like $400 right there.
Hmm.
I also traveled out of state. So, airfare, hotel, and jewelry, stage jewelry.
Okay.
Yeah, I would say it's about 4 grand.
And that's not even like the gym membership, the protein
Coaching,
powder, like all the
food.
work that goes into getting up to that moment.
Yes.
That's ridiculous. And so, but if you place, do you win that back, hopefully, or is it just like, here's your trophy, good luck next time?
So it depends where you're at. If you're just doing like a first time gig, like you get a bunch of trophies and you might nationally qualify to go to nationals.
Okay.
And I don't really know how nationals works or where you start making money, but I think it's like national level and above is where you start to make money off of your placements and your wins. But like say it's like your first ever show and you win first overall or whatever, I think you just get like a sword and a trophy, but you don't win money.
Oh, okay. But I mean, I guess it looks good on a resume if you're like a
A
gym instructor or
resume.
something. Yeah.
um,
uh,
yeah.
okay. So let's talk about like the mental journey that goes through competition. Like you talked about, blinders on, nothing else matters. I imagine that would take a toll on somebody after a while.
Yeah. So with competition prep, it's extremely selfish. So if you're in a relationship, you know, not to sound selfish, but that person doesn't necessarily matter. And if they don't support you, it's going to cause hell. My first show, I was dating a bodybuilder, so he knew how it was, and he taught me so much, and he helped me through some really rough times. I learned a lot from him, but there's been other times where I've dated people and they just don't get it, and you can't socialize, you can't go out to dinner, you know, you can't eat anything that's off your meal plan, and your calories and your carbs are really, really low, and your energy is low. You're going to want to sleep all the time. It's mental, chaos.
Mm-hmm.
You have to really be, for me, it actually helped me with my mental health because it gave me something to focus on. I'm very like goal driven. If I don't have a goal that I'm working on, I start to go a little crazy. I like to have a specific goal or goals. If
Mm-hmm.
I'm just sitting around and I'm doing nothing, I start to lose it. I'm like, I can't. But with competition prep, not only are you working on a goal, but it's routine. So I love the routine. Wake up, go do cardio, come home, make breakfast,
Mm-hmm.
get ready, go lift weights, come home, prep meals, and then eat, sleep, repeat.
Yeah,
That's how it works. And
I'm completely the same way with working out and fitness. When I didn't have a schedule during the lockdown, I just didn't work out because like I just kept putting it off until like I was like, oh, it's time to go back to bed. So yeah, I understand having that time schedule really helps somebody.
yes.
Yeah. So like you moved away from the military. I'm assuming you're out of the military now.
Yeah. So I got out in August. August 4th was, I think it was the 4th, was my last day. I was stationed in Montana, and I packed up my truck and I drove 32 hours back home by myself.
Okay, back home is New Jersey, I assume.
Yep, I'm in New Jersey.
Awesome. Awesome. So, how's life been transitioning out of the military? You're still doing fitness, but not competing right now. So, how's that been for you?
So, you know, I honestly thought I had myself figured out when I was leaving the military because I worked really hard to have an identity outside of my uniform. I had hobbies and friends, and, I was still like true to myself. But at the same time, when you leave all that's comfortable and all that you know behind and start completely over, there's nothing that can really prepare you for it. And when I first got out, I had a job that I didn't fully grasp what it was going to entail. I kind of got basically. I got like pushed into like marketing, but it wasn't marketing like social media marketing. It was like, hey, go knock on a door and annoy people.
Oh,
And I'm not built for sales. Like people that do sales, like mad respect, because I'm not built for sales. So that was like kind of stressful where I thought I had myself lined up and then I didn't. But thankfully, I had another job lined up and it was like a fraud investigation type job. Um, but I didn't like it. Like I want to thoroughly enjoy what I do because for 10 years I did not like what I did.
hmm.
Especially my last 2 years on active duty, I was extremely unhappy. So I ended up leaving the second job that I had, and I went on a um, overextended vacation in Florida, and that was fun. But then I
Hmm.
came back in February, and I've really just been focusing on my schooling because of my benefits that I earned while I was in the military. I can go to school full time and study whatever I want. So now that's where my big dream is actually going to start coming together, where I want to open a gym and I want there to be office space in this gym for licensed mental health professionals because,
Wow.
nowadays, even nowadays, therapy is still kind of like, oh, you go to therapy? Like, what's wrong with you? But I feel like that needs to go away because
Hmm.
honestly, a lot of us need some therapy. And what better place to go to therapy than at the gym? You go into the office, you talk to a counselor, you get all that weight lifted off your shoulders, and then you can go lift some heavy weight. That isn't your depression, that isn't your anxiety, that isn't your PTSD, that isn't, your traumas. You get to unload that and then go pick up some heavy stuff and feel good about it. And it's discreet. At the gym, you could just be like, oh, I'm going to the gym, but really you're going to go and get help for your mental health. So it's like a
Mhm.
one-stop shop for mental and physical, health. That's my like big dream. That's what I want. I want to really help people, and I feel like with a location like the gym, you know, it's one unexpected. Like people be like, "Wait, there's counselors here in this facility," and I'm like, "Yeah, that's a thing." So I'm setting business right now, and it's going to be a while before I get all that together. But that's my
Mhm.
really. I feel like I've always wanted to have like a safe haven for people, and I don't want it to be the gym where it's like, no offense, like Planet Fitness or like, the typical, like, I want this gym to people travel from all over the world to check this gym out.
Mhm. That
That's
sounds
my,
amazing. Yeah,
yeah, that's my big goal.
I think that's, and I've never heard this before. It's not like I'm acting like we've talked about this. That's
Right.
awesome. When I first started fitness, I was using it more as punishment because I wasn't in that right headspace, and it wasn't until I got into therapy that it started becoming like a reward and therapy in of itself. So that's awesome that you would combine those two, like things that people truly need in their life, fitness and therapy, into one location. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, it's like I said, it's going to be a couple years before that all comes full circle. But I kind of wanted to study business to get like that background in it first, because I'm already a personal trainer, so I have that knowledge, right? And then
Mhm.
I already understand like a lot about mental health. I mean, I'm not a doctor or anything, which is where it would come into play with hiring people. Um, but then like the business side of it, there's so much that goes into it that I don't understand yet, and I want to full encompass all of it. The How am I going to hire trainers? What's the licensing rules with having mental health professionals in a place like a gym? Like, are there certain laws? Like, there's so much that would go into it, but this kind of gets me to dip my toes into it. And I mean, I also have a job too. I work for a social media management company, so I feel like all of this stuff is going hand in hand with what I really
Mhm.
want to do, because I mean, social media is forever growing. I mean, think about, I mean, you're probably around the same age as me. You remember like our MySpace days and our chat room days and stuff like
Uh-huh.
that. So like I kind of, I'm really passionate about the growth of social media and how it could connect people. I mean, look at this connection here. Like you
Right.
never really know who you can impact or who you can meet, and the gym is like the perfect place to network. And I feel like people are gonna hear about this gym someday, and like it could blow up. I mean, I'm hoping that there's gonna be more gyms like it all over the US.
Hmm. Yeah, I think that would be great. And hopefully it does. Let me know when it happens because I'd love to travel and check it out.
Yeah, I
So
haven't decided. I haven't decided if it's gonna be like a Jersey based or like I don't know yet.
okay. Well, I mean, like that's what you're in business school for, right? To find out the
Exactly.
best place, best location, best way to market to people.
Yeah.
Awesome. So let's talk about so what's next for you? I mean, you just mentioned that, but like I'm talking about foreseeable future. Are you working towards competing again? Are you working towards, just becoming a personal trainer and a coach?
I have an online personal training business that I've been running for about, I want to say like 5 years. I do love personal training. I don't see myself having a future in personal training long term. With the gym that I want to own and operate, I don't want to be a part of the personal training team.
Okay.
I kind of want to take a step back from that part of it and focus solely on like building it, but also being heavily invested, like involved in it. Like I want people to know, oh, like she started this gym. Like I want people to know me and to meet me and talk to me. But as far as personal training, I love helping people. I don't like hand holding.
Hmm.
Unfortunately, and this is going to sound insensitive, but it's not something I haven't heard before. I think people lack discipline, and discipline is a requirement in a lot of things in life. I mean, in any like goal that we want to reach, you have to be disciplined. Your goal is not going to set itself down in front of you. And with personal training, specifically online, I will have clients reach out, start a program, ghost me.
Hmm.
They'll check in one time, go ghost. I don't like being ghosted in any way, shape, or form. It is my ultimate pet peeve. I would rather someone tell me straight up, I don't want to do your plan anymore. Okay. Is there a way it could better help you? If not, I can probably point you in the direction of a different trainer. But unfortunately, in the online world, it's easy to go ghost. It's easy to
Yeah.
just not reply. Um, I don't think I'll ever do personal training in a gym. There's certain rules and limitations that I just don't want to comply with in a gym. But I think I'll always want to help people with fitness goals. I just long term don't think that I will continue personal training online. Um, I think a lot of people are really, really successful with it, but it's very hard to maintain the individuality with plans because everyone needs something different with their plans. And when it's online, if you have 150 online clients, that's a lot of individual plans you should be doing for these people. But some
Hmm.
trainers online will just cookie cutter, you get a plan, you get a plan, you get a plan. Like I'm not okay with that.
Yeah, I could name some names, but I don't want to get sued.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
a whole nother conversation for another day.
Yeah, not recorded.
Yeah,
Uh,
off the record.
so this has been wonderful. I want to ask you, they're called the Lipton's questions. And I think I threw them by you before, but the first one is, what's your favorite word?
It just makes me think of that TikTok, the Miranda Cosgrove one, where she's like, probably fuck.
Oh yeah.
I don't know. I don't think I have a favorite word. Do you have a favorite word?
I have a favorite word, and it is I will. Well, I guess it's two, but yeah, it's
I will.
it's that's kind of like been my motto for a while. Like when I'm not feeling disciplined, and I think like, oh, like even days when I don't want to get out of bed because of depression or I'm just feeling lazy, I just take a moment and say I will, and then that's kind of like I will get up, I will work out, I will do this.
I like that a lot. Oh, you know what? My favorite word? Savage. That's my favorite word.
Savage. There you go. That was actually my first TikTok was to the song Savage.
I like it.
So what turns you on?
Oh, God. Let's skip that question.
It doesn't have to be bedroom turn on. It can be like what lights you up.
Oh, I probably should have thought about these. I don't know. I think confidence, like just being confident, is a good
Mhm.
feeling.
Nice. What turns you off?
Lack of accountability.
Nice. What sound or noise do you love?
Um, so when I sleep, I just sleep with a fan. I love the sound of a fan. It's very relaxing.
What noise or sound do you hate?
So do you know what tinnitus is?
Yes. The
So I have
buzzing.
really bad tinnitus and like loud, screechy. Yeah, drives me crazy.
Yeah. What's your favorite curse word? So this is
I
the
already said
TikTok.
it. Yeah. Damn it, I ruined that.
What profession other than your own would you like to attempt?
Ooh, probably X-ray tech. I think it'd be cool to be in like the medical field.
Nice, nice. And I skipped one. What is your least favorite word?
Um, Female.
Really? Okay.
I cannot stand when men say female instead of like woman. Like in the military, like my instructors used to say female and like in a almost derogatory way. And anytime I hear if a guy refers to a woman as female, I immediately don't like them.
Okay. So any guy ever who's got a dating profile should definitely delete female if he's going after you.
I'm just looking for a hot female. Yeah, no, I don't like that shit.